Hello,
Hi.
welcome.
Hello, hello.
We have a guest this week.
We
Who's
do.
below me.
Yay. We have the penfluencer, top YouTuber, pen collector, thought collector, bookkeeper, journaling, mastermind. What else can I say about you?
That's a lot. And I'm not sure I'm deserving of all that, but thank you.
Yes.
And it is my pleasure and honor to be here.
That's so cool. So cool to have you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Last time we saw each other really quick at the show, and then I think we haven't seen each other since then. Are you going
DC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any plans
I think I'm
for
done with DC for a while.
Yeah.
That is a lot of hustle from what I understand. So that one is busy and San Francisco is busy.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
And a lot of people seem to be done with DC from what I hear. You aren't the only one that's gone. I need a bit of a break from it.
Yeah.
It's a lot if you were to go every year, unless I could see if you had a shop and you were really promoting. And it's a lot to kind of bring the family, you know. I think we're going to do Chicago this year. I am flirting with the idea of flying down to DC maybe just for the Saturday.
Oh.
Because I could do it in one day from here. Fly down in the morning, fly back at night.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I might. We'll see.
Yeah. I made a mistake to do DC and Stationery Fest back to back. I came back sick.
Now, Stationery Fest is Brooklyn, right?
Brooklyn.
That looks awesome. That looks really interesting to me.
I loved it. Actually, I had so much fun. I hope to go to Chicago too. Chicago is in my list, but it's right. I think it's right before or after Montreal. Montreal is having the first pen show.
It's before Montreal. It's the beginning of the month, and Montreal's at the end.
Okay. So of May.
Nice. Montreal's having their first pen show. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I might have my first pen show too. I might finally make it to a pen show.
Oh, that's brilliant.
In a shocking turn of events, my first super chat ever in 18 months of being on YouTube.
Nice.
So,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Rick Marsh, who's over on my channel. Nice to see Rick
he's one of your people.
Well, he's his own person, I'm sure, but it's lovely to see him here. He's a great guy.
I know him from the comments on your videos.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's right. You're there every week as well.
Yes. It goes to the paper fund because I have people that send me inks and pens, but it is shockingly hard to find a paper sponsor. And this channel only exists because people send me stuff to play with. So thank you.
Oh, I might be able to put you in touch with some peeps.
Ooh.
Let's see.
Great connections are good, especially when you're trying to create content.
They are.
I'm trying to get away from a little bit of that whole you have to buy stuff.
That's me.
How do you put it? You get into this sort of escalator of whatever pen you have isn't good enough. It's the next pen that's better. It's the one that's going to bring you nirvana, or you need 50 million different ink colors. Or whatnot. I think there's a certain grace to being satisfied, to getting to know a fountain pen intimately and having a relationship and spending some really good quality time with the pen for a long time before you move on to something else. That's just my opinion.
Oh, actually, that's a great opportunity also to try the pen and see all the details of that pen. So how it writes, if it's smooth, if it needs some touching or tuning.
On the note of touching or tuning, we sort of briefly discussed a week ago. Was it only a week ago? The possibility of you coming to visit Kari. And that's now planned. You're now coming. And so I have a request that I keep meaning to DM you, but I haven't. Would you bring your nib tuning stuff with you, please?
Oh, I need to put everything aside. I will.
Thank you.
I will bring all the sanding things and everything.
Because I figure if you're here for 48 hours, I can just make it. Oh, and Couture Pens is coming too. It's going to be a great time. I can just make it like a problem child pile for us to like.
Related to this topic, Hemingway, do you tune your own nibs or do you send your pens somewhere?
I do minor things myself. I don't do major restorations. I do some funny things I don't recommend other people do. I always tell people like proceed at your own risk. Like when I went to Italy, I put a shim in between the nibs, the tines of the nib of my Aurora that was just writing terribly, and it was clearly too tight.
Oh,
Put a very small shim, and I left it for, I was gone for 12 days. So, and now it writes magnificently. Now, do I recommend this course of action for anyone else? No, I do not. But
and for an Aurora, which is a very expensive pen.
It is, but I bought it from someone who I have a very close relationship, and I just, they do so much for me. I didn't want to be a pain and be like returning a pen. So I just was ready to just kind of live with it. But then I did this, and now it's perfect. So best of
that's so fantastic
both worlds. Like I kind of know the theory behind a lot of nib work, but the idea of me doing any kind of sanding or grinding is just not a good idea. I'm very much a, I guess you could characterize me my horoscope, which I don't believe in anything astrological, I'll say, but I'm using this as a metaphor. I'm a Taurus, and I'm very much like that in real life, where I just muscle my way through everything. So if it requires finesse, I'm not the person to do it. So I would be more apt to send something out, but usually I don't know what I do. I just set them aside and buy something else, or just move on.
Yeah, it's so good to see also that you have decided to take it easy on the expenditure, and we talked about this in the previous episode about what we are not going to get for Christmas. We decided in this group actually not to get those calendars with inks because there is a lot going on, and there is this pressure to be up to date and show in your account, especially Instagram, every day a new swatch of ink, every day a new product.
It's pretty much a consumerist mindset. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, indeed. I agree with that completely. And I'll say I never fell into that with the Inkvent calendars. I've never bought a single one. I just am not that curious about it. And I just figure I don't really like that many ink colors. I know this is really scandalous, but I have a video coming up on my channel. I think it's next week, called The Great Fountain Pen Ink Purge. And it's where I get rid of like 80% of my inks, and I say why. And a lot of the stuff and a lot of the influencer stuff that's out there, I would never use. And I'm talking specifically of like Ferris Wheel Press. I'm just not that big a fan.
Yeah,
it's so many usable stuff. It's pretty. It's so pretty. But you see a lot of that out there. I don't know. I don't want to disparage anybody. I guess I am a little bit, so I apologize. But
same. I don't use any shimmer, and they're very heavy on shimmers. So
heavy.
Yeah,
not for me.
I use it sparingly. I put it in TWSBIs with stub nibs. I use them for when we write letters from the elf at Christmas time to my daughter. I use it for that. We use it for Christmas cards and things like that. And occasionally I'll write a letter to someone with some fancy. But that's not really me so much. But for the longest time, I didn't watch anybody else's stuff on social media. I saw a lot more Instagram now, but like to this day, I don't really watch other YouTube channels in the pen space. So a lot of people sorry.
You work full time, so that means also if you spend a lot of time watching other people's videos, you're lacking time to do your stuff.
Yes.
And it also influences you in a way that you don't necessarily want to be, I feel like, if you watch a lot. But that's my personal opinion. Sometimes I've noticed this approach with other people who do what I do. So watercolor artists, watercolor makers, and ceramicists who I guess I am. There are a couple of people that I've had to talk with, and there's someone who's been around for a very long time. And they say that they specifically don't follow people who do exactly what they do or very similar things to what they do, because they don't want that to be at the back of their heads whenever they create, to be influenced without, realizing they are.
Marina, that's exactly what my motivation was, because I wanted to make sure that anything I did was my own pure, original, unfiltered take on it. And I used to watch a lot of fountain pen content on YouTube before I started my channel. And then once I did, and I was able to test a lot of what I had heard, a lot of what was said wasn't necessarily true. And I realized quickly that a lot of the stuff that I was watching were companies.
Oh.
So they have a different motivation, I think, than fans of fountain pens. It's more a selling, and not everybody, but I'm just saying in a lot of cases. So, like you take somebody like Tom Otto, who's like so honest about everything he puts up, even though it's on his site, So, but then some other sites, you got to kind of ask yourself, like, is this something they're really passionate about, or is it just positioning? And I don't know. I just want to be original, and time is tough. I work in a bank and I have a family, and it's getting tougher. That's the one thing. I wish I had more time.
Yeah, and wait for your kids to get older, and you're going to get to spend more time with them and drive them. They are still not independent, so that also takes time as a mother.
Yes, and I want to be there for all these things. And she's a great kid. She already writes her name in cursive, and she's got a Lamy Safari and a Platinum Preppy, a few other ones. She's really an amazing kid.
That's so fantastic. It's so cool. Going back to the topic of you creating your own content and not watching other people to influence your content, I have always had this question, and maybe you probably answered this question in your account or in another interview that you had. How did you start everything? I know that you're huge in YouTube and huge in TikTok also. It's kind of like there is the pen group of people. This is kind of the numbers, and then there is Hemingway Jones.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there are so many channels bigger than me, but yeah, I mean, how did I get started? Is that the question, or how did? It was really funny. It was during the pandemic, and I was working at home at this desk facing this way with all my work computers, and I would just pick up objects and talk about them on TikTok, and nobody cared. I posted into the void, and then I started to post about fountain pens, and suddenly it got traction, and then more and more people started to follow along on TikTok until it got over 100,000, which I was really surprised about to this day.
Wow.
But I kind of read the writing on the wall, and like TikTok changed since it began. It used to be about hobbyists and little niches or different niches of passions. And now it's more about politics and outrageousness, which is not my scene. So I decided I'd start the YouTube channel just to diversify. And that's been going very, very well. YouTube's a tougher fight. I think it's a more sincere place in many ways. I think that one subscriber on YouTube is probably equal to 100 on TikTok. I kind of suspect that most of the subscribers on TikTok are bots. It's just my personal feel. But you click over to them and they don't have any content and they just look suspiciously blank.
Wow.
Like YouTube is very, the people that are coming on the journey with you. They talk, they comment, they say if they don't like something, they make that very, very known, so you really get to know them. So.
Yeah, Instagram, I feel like it's somewhere in between there. Because they are users that I was like, well, I'm not sure you're a real person, and then some are really taking that time to interact with you.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with that too. I mean, and Carrie, you have a lot of followers on Instagram, right?
Yeah, but those followers at the same time I follow back. So we kind of met at these pen shows, and then we did courses together, workshops together, and then we
That's
met
so nice.
again during the pandemic. Was the time that I joined Instagram and started posting. And I found you actually because you posted a couple of journaling videos where you talk about leather covered journals. And I love leather covered journals, maybe with a different paper, because sometimes the leather covers, they don't have fountain pen friendly paper. But I saw that you kept the journal, and then you store your journal, and then you talk about the cover. That's how I met you. And then Applebaum did this pen quiz, and then I met you again there. And then I saw you at the Boston Pen Show, and I was like, oh, wow, you're so inspiring. And that's kind of
You're very kind. I appreciate that. We did talk a little too on Instagram. We DM'd a couple of times. I was trying to get you to come on my show, and you were shy in those days. You were like, I don't know. I don't think I want to come out in public. And I'm like, come on. And now look at you.
Your show was so much fun last week.
Was it? Did you have a nice time?
I did. Sorry that I keep having to mute myself. Like, I was fine until like 6 hours ago, and now
I'm so sorry.
Like, terribly
There's something going around. I have a touch of it too. You can probably hear it in my voice.
It's not COVID. I've been COVID tested.
And then it usually gets worse in the evening.
Whatever. And I was fine until we pressed live, and now I'm just like, I can't stop coughing.
I'm sorry.
So Mom has brought me down a bowl of cough drops.
Very nice.
And I'm just going to keep muting myself every time I have to hack up a lung. But I had so much fun last week. It was great.
I'm so glad. I really enjoy the live show. It's fun. I try to keep it moving. Sometimes I miss things, and it's sometimes embarrassingly like a lovely viewer last night who's a doctor, very nice guy.
I saw, and I was about to text. Like, I wished I had a way to text you during the show.
I know. And it's like, leave it to me. Like, the one that I missed is like the $100 super chat. So I was mortified, but I reached out to him on Instagram where we talk, and I also put up a thank you on Instagram dedicated to him. Yeah. But of course, he's a lovely guy. He's. But still, I just felt really bad about it. But it's hard because my setup, I see the chat go by. I'm doing the show, trying to keep it interesting for people, trying to keep it rolling. Or if I have a topic, trying to stay on topic. And it's hard to kind of have your attention on the chat too. But I don't want to ignore all the really nice people that show up every week too. So I do peek in occasionally. And somehow that just got by me.
It was one of those moments that I wished I had a way to text you while you were live, because I watched it, and then I watched you address a super chat that happened after it, and I went, oh, he didn't see it somehow.
Yeah. And I even went into where the super chats were, because there's a separate spot, and I still didn't see it.
Apparently, it's all over, because one of my subscribers from California has this as well. It's super fun. I'm having a great time with whatever this is. I've decided today is my last day of work, and from here on out, you're just getting pre-recorded videos until January. So,
see, mine are the other way. The work for me is the pre-recorded stuff, and it's the easy thing for me is when I do live. That's kind of my fallback. If I get really, really busy at work, I'll do like 2 live shows a week.
I've done that too, but it's just I happen to have my December content filmed.
Nice.
But I was planning on doing some live stuff, and it's like, you're getting what's scheduled, and that's it.
Nice. I'm filmed into February.
Oh, you're
so ahead. So jealous of that fact. Yeah. I'm filmed to like the end of December, and that was 3 weeks ahead, and that felt like a huge win.
Yeah. I think during this vacation time, I just finished my classes and passed all the final grades. So free, I will do YouTube. Just
Nice.
up a little bit. I have the account, but I just keep it simple. Sometimes I post a short video and then talk about pens and whatever it's in my life at that moment. It's not very organized, by the way.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I might start lives on that note.
Yeah.
And,
All right.
I'm super small at this point, and I do take my time to edit and stuff like that. It takes forever for my videos. So lives seem to be a much better solution.
I just want to learn how to use it better. I mean, I'd love to be able to show some. Look, a super chat. Hey, thanks so much, Archie.
From somebody who I think has been watching since I was doing watercolor videos constantly.
Wow, look at that.
This channel has evolved quite a lot since I think you've been watching since I duped all the Schminke sets last year. So thanks for sticking around.
That's sweet. He's in California too, like me.
He is.
Yay.
We've had a very long catch-up / check-in. Do we want to talk about what pens we're currently using?
Yes. Always. Hello. I have
Ladies first?
Yes.
Kari, you want to? Oh, Marina?
Oh,
Sure.
I'm ready. You can
ready?
me. This is handmade.
Ooh.
I've been over the moon with this maker. So she's in UK. She makes her own blanks and her own pens. And it's one of the smoothest Yovo nibs I've gotten from a maker. Because a lot of times my luck is beautiful resin doesn't really write that well. So this was a great surprise. Oh, and this is a dinosaur hive. That's how she called it.
Ooh.
So I now have 2 dinosaurs, an Esterbrook and this one.
Very nice.
Very nice.
So yeah.
Am I second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I go fast and sweet. Parker 45. An heirloom from my family. This was my dad's pen.
Oh, that's so lovely.
So it's right here.
Very nice.
Still ink, still writing, still going since 1960.
Oh, lovely. Cobalt Esterbrook re-release with a mini stub. I didn't think I was going to love this nib as much as I do. I think this might be my favorite nib currently.
Wow.
It's
good to try different ones. You never know.
It's a fine that's been turned into a stub, and I adore it. It's the pen that I'm reaching for all the time. I've got a whole bunch inked up on my desk in a mug, but like this is the one I'm reaching for, and it's great.
Nice.
Nice. Very, very nice.
As it goes back in its mug.
Right.
I mean, clearly, I'm not a no scratches on fountain pens person.
You know, I'm kind of in the middle. So I'm 2 these days. I have the Mont Blanc 147 in Bordeaux.
I like that color.
Yes, me too. And this was a trade, which was very nice. One of my lovely listeners traded me for a pen. So I was very happy to get this. Took this to Italy, having a blast. So using this quite a bit. I've been keeping it in my little Lockbee Quattro, which is very handy. I don't know if it was a glowing review, but what I said of this, it's the best of the pen cases I've found so far. So that was my review in a nutshell. And then my Kaweco aluminium piston filler.
Oh, I love that.
That's a good one.
Super fun. I've been using this quite a bit. It has a bold nib. Super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just love the little touches. I like how you can screw it on, or you can just pull it off. And I think if you screw it off, you can keep the cap. You can keep the cap of the piston fill in the cap, so that you don't lose it. And then you can screw it back on, and then just pull it out, and it's back on. So kind of clever little German engineering touch there.
I've been looking at the plastic version that they've just released.
Oh, have they done a plastic piston fill?
That is cheaper.
Oh, nice.
It's about, I think it's just over a third of the price.
Oh, okay. This is like 165, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the special editions, they went up with Kaweco. They used to be.
This was a generous gift from Joost Appelboom. Thank
very.
you, Yost, my brother.
I'm not on Yost's PR list.
Not yet. You just
Not
had
yet.
him over
That's
for
true. I
20
did just have him on the channel. He did
He's
just
one of the people that I knew even before I had a channel.
And the funny thing is, to get our schedules aligned, that was filmed all the way back before I went to the sidewalk sale.
Oh, wow.
How early did you have to get up for that?
I didn't. He filmed it after store hours. So it was 10 a.m. my time, 4 p.m. his time.
All right.
But it was filmed back in August.
Oh, nice.
So it went all the way until this.
I've known since people kept asking like who the season finale was going to be, and I've known since August who my season finale was. It was actually the first episode I filmed of season 2 was the finale.
Well, you are actually the reason why I started YouTube channel, because I wanted to start one for a long time, and then Alexandra and I've been friends, and we've been talking for 2 years
at least,
like that. And then so one day she asked me if I want to be on a 20 questions, and I was like, well, people will not know who I am. So, and then she told me she would air my episode November,
something like that.
And so I was like, all right, I have a couple of months, I need to start a thing. So here we are.
I'm finding that's turning into a thing. There are a lot of people in this next season who are like, I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel. Can you delay my episode by a couple weeks until I have my YouTube channel up and running? And I'm like, sure. I will schedule you in the back half of this season.
That's good.
It's just become a thing with this show now.
By the way, I really am glad that I met Marina too, and everybody here in this podcast. It's so fun that out of anybody, like you do watercolor, you do your own watercolor palettes, and I like watercolor. And then when I say, oh, but I make my own watercolor, I was fascinated.
It's also how you package them. It's so interesting, using all the vintage tins and whatnot. That makes it so aesthetic.
My inspiration is, oh God, it's hard to tell, but this is from 1940s.
Okay, that's beautiful.
So why can't we bring that back?
I think you are.
You know?
I love it.
I like how aesthetic your tins are versus.
And I recycle.
Oh,
someone else doesn't need it.
Trays and trays and trays of half pans.
Color.
Yours is so aesthetic, and mine is like a tactical work palette of
I have that too. I buy from other people.
Some of those colors are going to disappear from your house.
I'm aware. You're saving me from having to list them on Facebook, so I'm happy.
Yes.
If you can just make all of the stuff that I was planning to post on Facebook disappear, that would be great.
I will be there.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff going myself. I'm going to rehome a bunch of fountain pens in the new year.
I know. You've been talking about it.
I know. I started to go through them already.
DMs about it.
I'm going to run some by you too before I do.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
thank you.
Well, let us know. I'm interested too.
Sure. I just have too many, and they're just sitting. And I really want to curate my collection this year. I want it to be more pared down, more functional. I want each pen to kind of have its own individual life and expression. And I don't need 40 Yovo nibs.
Yeah.
Not to pick on Yovo, but
before we get into our main topic, we have 2 things to talk about.
Okay.
What was our most memorable pen of the year?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I need to find it.
I know mine.
I've got mine.
Oh, should I get mine?
You can get yours if you want to. We have had the conversation before that my palettes look like accent tiles for a kitchen backsplash. And I would greatly love a kitchen backsplash that was the rainbow of my palette. It would be great.
Ooh, very nice.
Because I have 7 of those trays from collections that I've either helped design or paints that I've gained over the years.
That's very
Wow.
And each tray holds about 130 pans of paint.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't have many watercolors. I did for years line drawing and line art and less watercolor. And now I am trying watercolor, which is
Oh, so nice.
very
All
nice.
right.
Marina
Who
sent me some. It's really nice. I haven't used it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Let me
And I
know
have
how
a
it
couple
goes.
really cute little travel sets, and I haven't used those either, but I will one day. We do sometimes 10-minute art day, and so you kind of have to do some deft strokes and kind of race imaging to complete.
All right. So Marina started last time. Hemingway, do you want to go first?
It would be my pleasure. So, I mean, no surprise to anyone who ever listens to me this year at all, but the pen that had the biggest impact on me this year is the Waterman Edson, which is a game changer. This is the kind of fountain pen that you can literally throw away almost every other fountain pen if you wanted, and you probably wouldn't miss them that much. If there's one criticism of it, I would say it's almost a bit too perfect. It never skips, it never slow starts. It always has the same perfect, even flow line. And the negative part of that is that it's almost too reliable, almost makes it like boring, if I can say so, but in a delightful way, because it's so smooth and just so amazing and so pretty as a thing. Of course, it has an inlaid nib.
Oh, very nice.
And it's a bit of a rare beast, which makes it kind of fun. And the other thing, it handles these latches much better than, say, the Lamy 2000. It has those very obtrusive little metal prongs, whereas this one is a very elegant pad that simply holds the cap. This is a medium. I see the question, Ms.
Thank
Rose.
you.
Thank you very much. It's a delightful medium. If anything, I'd say slightly on the finer side of medium. But boy, what a pen! What a delight! Next level all the way.
So this question, we are going to answer. I'm going to leave it for the end because I think all of us probably have an opinion on it. So I think mine comes as no surprise. It's the Esterbrook SD Golden Gratitude. You've seen the video. You know why. I love this pen.
Nice.
I don't think it's going to stay as a fine for much longer.
It's going to be a little stubby.
It's either going to be the little stubby or it's going to be a medium.
Okay.
But I adore this pen. So.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And Brian Holzer is probably the hardest working guy in the fountain pen world. Every fountain pen event, his show, he's there all day with a big smile.
Well, the funny thing was, it was Scriptus and it was then Japan. And so he didn't come to Scriptus. He sent Liz and Justin to Scriptus.
Oh, okay.
But Liz and Justin had to fly back to New York they had to pack their carry-on in such a way that any of the things that Justin was taking to Japan were not shipped back because they weren't going to get back before he left for Japan on Monday.
Wow.
Like, it was just
logistics.
The logistics of that event were sort of crazy, that series of events.
And he makes Yovo nibs interesting again.
Yes.
He does.
Give that.
With
he holds them to a very high standard, that's for sure.
But they also offer the custom grinds when they're in stock, the ability to purchase them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely.
I
When they're in stock, you really have to act quickly when you see them on there.
Yeah, I need some.
Don't you have one, Marina?
Well, I want to buy, so I've decided I wanted to buy nibs separately.
Okay.
Because I don't know, I have a couple of Esterbrook STs. I love them, but I feel like I'd rather buy nibs.
Okay. So I thought you'd bought a Cobalt with something.
Well, that's going to be in my under the tree.
Sorry. I know nothing.
Very nice.
I know nothing.
So
I really want that Reflections of Paris Quran.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I really want that thing, and I'm being very good by not buying it because of the Wes Anderson pen, which has taken sort of all my attention. Trying to hold out until that arrives, but I really want that one. It's not easy, but I'm being disciplined.
Oh,
I
that's
desperately want the Wes Anderson inks to be good.
Yeah, that would be nice, right?
How many are they going to have? Do we know?
Colors currently. I don't know. I'm wondering if they'll go back to the trio sets with the
What they used to
20
do.
ml bottle.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
I don't even know what the specs of the pen are.
It's the same size as a baby, so it's the same size as a Boat.
Yeah. But does it have a heritage nib? Does it have something else?
Heritage.
Heritage.
oh,
It's
wow.
a heritage.
Yeah, well, good, because that's my favorite nib from them, I think, at this point. Yeah. It's on the Egyptomania.
Oh, I have that one.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, brilliant. Good for you.
I bought it. I guess we'll talk about it later, how we source, but I was extremely lucky. I got a store was discontinuing them.
Wow.
There was one on a display.
Fantastic.
Like, you want it? I want it.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Good for you. Fantastic. Great pen. One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's in my way. All those ones, even the Mont Blanc Bohème. Oh, so cool.
Yes. They should be spectacular, but ink colors recently have been disappointing.
They're Around the World in 80 Days is really nice.
Around the World in 80, I would say Around the World in 80 Days and Jane Austen are my two favorites of their latest releases. But none of the Origin collection I liked. I know Marina liked one of them.
Yeah,
the Burgundy Red is fantastic, if you've seen that. And I think that just came back, or maybe it just came back into my consciousness, but I wish I'd bring Bordeaux back. That was the
this one is
what's that, Marina?
That's the Great Gatsby. It's better than the pen.
Yeah.
I like the ink better than the pen, but this one is
my favorite. Did you get the pen?
No.
Did anybody get the pen?
I made a whole video about it where
I've seen the pen, but I didn't get it.
Oh, gotcha. What did you compare it to, Marina?
So I kind of went off on what you were talking about when you just saw pictures of it, and found it not that good looking.
I think it's an abomination. If it had been thinner and sleeker like a Heritage, I would have been on board. But the way it's all fat and stepped down, in a video that's coming out, I think next week for the chat group, it's on Mont Blanc, and I call it an abomination in that.
Oh,
so it's going to be controversial, but as far as
my video, I decided to compare it to their earlier release. The Gerald pen is much more elegant.
Oh, no kidding!
Much more elegant. I don't understand what happened.
By the way, there's a Hemingway pen right now on Peyton Street.
I saw that.
It's left oblique, so you have to like that. But those are rare beasts. And I would buy it, but I got the Wes Anderson pen coming, so I'm being good.
Yeah, but you went for the big products. I would say the high-end level budget products, which is great because they are a dream to have. I have to sell all my collection to get one.
Well, Carrie, what it is I'm a bit of the curious cat. So one day, and maybe it's the Wes Anderson pen, but one day I'm going to say, wow, this was really not worth it. Though you're not going to lose a dime on that pen.
Yeah.
It's going to be very popular. And because you have two schools of collectors, you have a very adamant Wes Anderson fan base, and the fountain pen fits in with that perfectly. So even people who don't use pens will want it. Not that I would ever probably get rid of it, even if I didn't like it, but curiosity often drives me, and it drives me in different directions. And that's really the only thing that would motivate me to spend $2,600, because I put a ceiling of I had it at 1,000, but I put it up to 1,200 for pens, but I broke it for that one.
So this should be probably your most expensive pen. I remember you talking about how much you spent, and this probably is the most of it, right?
I think it is the most I've spent. on one pen, because I have bought groups of pens that were
Yeah.
Oh,
but yes,
yeah.
scary.
Yeah, but you have that pen. As you say, you want to curate your collection and then you have a collector's piece. It's
Exactly.
It is perfect. You will love writing with it. You're going to like showing it. There is a story background behind it. There is a meaning behind it.
Absolutely. And I'm sure I can make a really fun video about it too. So that's an added enticement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marina, what's your favorite pen of the year?
Mont Blanc from
Ooh.
1970s, I would want to say, ebonite feed.
Very
Something
nice.
that Alexandra is familiar with.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Which model is that?
146.
Ooh, classic. Maybe
you
the
know what?
perfect pen right there at the perfect time.
After trying this one, and I have 146 that is modern, that is red, Bordeaux. I do like this one better. And I also don't feel the need for 149 unless it's vintage.
It's a lot of pen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
this one's perfect.
I would say I'm familiar with the 146, though I don't actually have mine yet. I do not get to open mine until the 30th, so there are many days in between now and then.
We spoiled each other's presents.
We did.
There we go.
But I talked about it on Hemingway a week ago, and I talked about it with Claire on December 2nd. Everyone already knows what I'm getting for Christmas.
That's so nice.
That's so nice.
Or what I got myself for Christmas.
Very nice. I'm saving money because I'm going in January to Philippine show, and I'm working for Tasha at the table, so that means that I will get another Tasha. And
very nice.
To my pen of the year, it's a Tasha pen.
Oh, nice.
So this one is an Urushi lacquer pen. The name of the pen is Yako Hijo Second Sango. And the color, the nib is a zoom nib. I talked about this pen before. It's a super juicy gold nib, smooth, the smoothest pen you can, it writes so well. It doesn't dry out. And then, of course, a work of art outside.
Yeah, gorgeous. They make nice stuff. I love their ink. The Hokusai wave ink is one of my favorite inks, and one of the few blues I held on to in the great ink purge.
I like that
that's exactly.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, Hokusai.
You have chosen wisely.
Yeah.
Let me get the grail. You have chosen wisely.
I like that you did a great ink purge, and I did a 4-part series on my entire ink collection and what I would and would not repurchase.
Oh, gotcha.
You just purged stuff, and I went, here are 4 videos going through every cola ring.
Yeah.
Rehold them all. They're already gone.
Wow.
Yep.
Good for you.
I know.
Did you keep Mont Blanc Midnight Blue?
Yes. I use that.
Good,
and I kept Egyptian blue too.
I would have been horrified had you convinced me to get a bottle of it. It had become my favorite blue ink, only for you to get rid of it.
No, I actually just put it in my 149. My 149's been sleeping for, I don't remember the last time I filmed with it, but at least 6 months it's been asleep. And I looked at it the other day, and I filmed with it empty because I love the ink view windows on that beast. It looks like a little kaleidoscope or one of those, those picture shows where you spin it around and then it looks like a horse is running. It's not a kaleidoscope. I don't know what that's called. But I was like, I need to ink this thing up. It's been too long because I put my other one away, the 100-year one.
Oh.
So I resurrected the 149.
Yeah. You know, one of my friend does. There is a friend of mine that has a collection of pelicans here in the Ottawa Pen Society. He never put inks in the pen, but he uses the pens every day. He just dipped the pen because he thinks that the pens are so precious that
Wow.
it will not ink the pen, but he still writes with the pens. It's just not inking the pens. So I was like, okay, maybe some people have this crazy idea that they were never going to put ink in their pens and they want to keep it like that. But oh no,
I mean, I'm sure there are people. It's just like train collecting. I don't know. There are people who buy 2 sets.
That's true.
One, and
I'm really not a collector in that way normally. I'm just not somebody who buys a pen not to use it. It's just the 149 just feels a little superfluous.
Yeah.
The origin one. You know, when you already have the classic, it's like, you know, I don't know if I need 2, at least right now. But I have that Around the World in 80 Days pen, and that's even more blingy than the origins. And I use that all the time. So it's not about keeping them precious.
Yeah.
Well, I still need to film with that.
You need to do like a pen collection and show and display all those.
Yes. Yeah, I did. I used to do like state of the collection, but the collection got too big. And I was just showing them like, this is the Mont Blanc, 146. This is 149. This is and it was like, this is not interesting viewing. I'm very much aware of that.
I think this year I'm splitting mine into like pocket and sport pens and full-size pens for the state of my collection video. Because there are too many pens. Like you said, there are too many pens for one video.
Mine will be pared down. It'll be easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I should do a cleanup of pens. I have so many people that I need to penable. Maybe that would be a great opportunity for me to give away some pens, which is something that I want to do. I also need to give away some of the unopened notebooks that I have.
I have so many sketchbooks.
Books,
not even funny.
So I need to
they do pile up the paper.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't use them well. Sometimes
I like how you two have a stock of paper, and I just like burn through paper so quickly that it doesn't matter. Like, I think I've currently got 2 blank notebooks, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's taken me forever to get through my latest journal. It's one of the Bottega Obscura journals, and there's just so much real estate in it. I'm writing very small at the moment, and I'm happy, so I don't have a lot to complain about. So it sort of looks like this one for frame of reference.
Oh, love that.
This is one. It's got a lot of real estate. But the one I'm probably like this far through the one I'm working on now, and it's been 2 years, which is crazy for me. Yeah. And I have 2 or 3 more of these.
Yeah, I use a lot of paper. I have different endeavors. I have sketchbooks, I have blank paper, I have dot grid paper for different purposes and planning and journaling.
Oh, nice.
And I go through papers a lot, and notebooks. I would say for my planning system, 2 notebooks for sure for a year, plus all the little inserts that I have for a common planner or common journaling for my to-do list and stuff. But then art journaling takes space too. And as you say, there are some notebooks that I have open since 2022 that are still halfway because it's a sketchbook, like you're not
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Sketchbook. Yeah. Or do a sketch every single day. That's not happening.
Well, Shannon thinks when you come to visit, you should bring paper, and she'll break into her sticker and washi stash.
You might get some paper. We'll see. Because some paper, it has to be used.
Shannon has a wall of washi tape.
Very nice.
So,
I'm not. Yeah. But I could bring some of the ones that I got at Stationery Fest, which were from the other side of the globe.
Very nice.
Very nice. Yeah, paper I will bring paper for sure.
All right, shall we get into our main topic at 50 minutes into tonight's show?
We are bad.
Prime time.
I like how tight you run your show, Hemingway, and we spend the first 50 minutes chatting.
Wow, yeah, I'm impressed. It's because after an hour, I'm kind of done because my voice always just goes on me.
Yeah, we just keep
So
talking.
I have to time it.
I think our longest show was 2.5 hours. We will keep it tighter tonight.
That's crazy.
Sure.
Yeah, forgive me if I bail out early.
I will not interrupt.
All right, main topic. Buying pens secondhand, which is something we all do in very different ways. The first question is, apparently I didn't actually finish my sentence. Never mind. Marina, ask a question.
Well, do you guys have something that you bought secondhand? And can you show it?
Oh, yes.
Simple as that. Maybe there's a story behind it. How you acquired it.
Sure. I have one.
Go
The Mont Blanc Bohème.
Mm-hmm.
I did a rare thing and I bought it off of eBay, which I never do, off an antique shop in Gloucester, Mass. I think it was Gloucester. It was somewhere on Cape Ann. And I just figured, well, if it's a fake or something, I'll just drive up there and complain. It's not that far from where I live. But it was a little worn. It was very much kind of dull and scratched up. And I'm going to tell you what I did. And once again, do this at your own risk. I don't recommend it. But I use Polywatch.
Oh!
And Polywatch is a substance that's used for Hardlex crystals on watches to remove scratches.
Yeah.
And it works on, from what I see, pretty much any type of plastic or resin. And it made this look like it just came out of the box.
What?
And it had some pretty deep gouges and scratches and things. And I think this was $350 or $375. And then I used Cape Cod cloth. I taped up the clip and, you know, where the resin is, and I used a Cape Cod cloth and took all the horrible scratches that were on the clip and around the ring. I didn't do anything to the nib, actually. The nib was fine. It's gone because, you know, you turn it and it comes out to say hello. Usually you turn it by posting it. But it was one of my, I guess you could call it a restoration project, but it really looks fantastic. I mean, you guys have seen this filmed under macro on my channel, and it's just brilliant.
Fantastic.
And it gave me a lot of joy, this pen. It's a charming little jewel box of a pen.
Very, very nice. I have to say that I had a couple of finds at an insane cheap price at Chicago Pen Show this year. I got a couple of Stipula pens. I have them here.
One of my favorite brands.
Nice.
So I have the Coliseum and I have the David.
Ooh.
They are both steel nib, but they write so well. The ink doesn't dry out. There is a little bit of an issue opening this black one, and I don't know. It's you know, this little metal part that goes inside is loose. That's why I need to find somebody maybe to glue that there. Anyways, look at this perfect nib. Let me tell you the price, and you're going to go crazy.
Please.
$20.
20? Oh goodness.
That's brilliant.
And 20. So $40 for the two.
Wow.
Okay, I need to do more shopping with you at the Chicago Pen Show, clearly.
Well, I went to this person that was getting rid of the whole collection for the friend, and maybe he didn't know the price of this.
That's what happened to me too.
They have Conklin, they had but there were these two over there, and I was like, how much for these two? And it's like, oh, okay, I can give it to you for 20 each. Okay, done. I left, and then Claire went right away to the same table, more pens.
All right, I ask again, why did you not tell me about this at the Chicago Pen Show?
That was the first day.
Okay. I was late the first day.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Very nice. So those, most of my pens are secondhand, most of them, and I have a collection. Most of my Italian pens are secondhand, except for the Leonardo that I got at the pen shows live with Salvatore over there tuning the nibs. But all the Nettuno, the Majoras that I have, all of them are secondhand, and I bought them from friends overseas. So yeah, we did kind of a purchasing whatever they were selling in order. They were going higher on the pens that they were buying, and I was kind of starting collecting at that point. So I got secondhand. I am big at in sustainability, and I teach my students to be sustainable as much as they can. And because I'm a hoarder with fountain pens, I need to go sustainable and get secondhand instead of purchasing new. It's just a little bit of
but also, to be fair, some
hoarding
stuff is hard to buy. The Italian pens, some Italian pens like Stipula, I love them, but not that easy to buy sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. So those are my secondhand pens, and the philosophy behind buying secondhand. I think it's sustainable, and people are going to keep buying new pens, and they will sell the ones that they don't have. So that's when we go there. There's for everybody.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Well, so the pen we all keep talking about, the Mont Blanc, I don't actually have. It's upstairs. That was purchased secondhand. I will say it is the most commonly faked Mont Blanc pen. And I would not have bought it if I didn't have a friend who had one and who could help me authenticate it after the shop had already authenticated them.
All right.
Not that I didn't trust who I was buying it from, but when you're spending that much on a pen, like, you want to make sure.
Sure.
I bought it from the Toronto Pen Shop in the Distillery District. They've got a very small amount of consignment. And luckily, Claire Coco and Peter happened to have a 146 of a very similar vintage in their collection. And so when I sent Claire pictures, she then got on FaceTime with me, and we walked through the pen in the shop and it's upstairs. That being said, I have a number of other vintage secondhand pens in my collection, including a Sport by Diplomat, because I'm a fan of Kaweco Sports, but also 3 Parkers, all purchased different places. So Facebook Marketplace from a hoarder, an estate sale, and I think I found this in a lot of pens, just like in a shop somewhere. So really, especially Parkers, I find them everywhere. They're in various levels of like needing work. And over the years, I guess over the past 18 months, I found 3 that have needed no work, and they've come home with me. But you can find vintage secondhand stuff that doesn't need work, sort of, if you know where to look for it.
Yeah.
And estate sales are sort of the number one place I go. But also, if you've got like a local auction house where they like combine estate sale lots, I frequently see pens. Unfortunately, they're almost always celluloid, and they're almost always they haven't been taken care of well. So they've got big chips, or the caps don't close, and like at that point, they're not going to make their way into my collection, no matter what the price is. So.
Yeah, auction houses are a great source too.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is in that business.
Oh.
So it's handy when something comes along.
Yeah.
We do love our local auction house. Sometimes Mom and I go up just to have a wander on preview day.
Nice. Well, my wife's is one of the big auction houses, but they still get them.
Okay. Yeah, it's like going to a crazy art museum combined with like the random great pen finds every once in a while.
Truly.
Several months ago, they had something that I really, and I now can't remember what the pen model was like, but I so regret that it didn't come home with me. We just didn't win it, but it was so, I want to say that it was a Parker button filler, and I just adored it.
Yeah.
But it was in a lot of other things, and I didn't need everything else it came with. So
that is slippery slope sometimes. They want you to buy a lot.
Are any of us going to Atlanta? I'm not.
Nope, no plans.
Not me.
No.
Marina, you're the last.
Pelican.
Yeah.
And I'll try very hard. It came three things plus a double broad.
Oh.
A double broad. So this set is, and this pen is from late 80s. So this was the first release for when they did M800 for the first time.
Ooh.
And I got it from a lady, I think about 2 years ago. Her dad was a collector, and she did not know what to do with his pens. And quite a few of his pens have never been inked because he was a collector. And this one, from what I understand, and I got it extremely cheap. I'm not going to even entertain how much I paid for that. Because she doesn't know what to do with it. You know, he passed away a few years ago, and she's like, well, I have this whole collection. And at that point, I just wanted this because that was, the M800 is the one I've never tried. And her story was, which touched me, because part of why I like secondhand is things come with stories. And that's something I'm extremely interested in. And this one he was a lawyer, and he'd gone to Berlin shortly after the Berlin Wall fell. I don't know why he went there, for some sort of business, American. And he brought these pens. And now I have them. And for me, just someone who's into history. So I'm also from northeastern part of Europe myself. I'm originally from there. For me, it's a big thing. It's very big part of history. So that's why I just love this. I think I'd pay 5 times what I paid for it, because when I heard the story and I heard how much and you could see nothing of this has been, used, or if he used, I've never noticed that he used it. Yeah. Just so well taken care of, loved. And that's, ultimately what I'm getting.
Very nice. Very, very nice. So that's the second. Very nice. Do we have any other questions?
So I guess a follow-up to mine is, when we're making those purchases, like how I purchased a Mont Blanc that maybe we don't quite know enough about to authenticate yourselves, how do you make the decision to purchase it or not? Like, do you consult with other people before you purchase it? Do you just take the risk, or like, how do you make that decision?
For me, Mont Blanc was a risk-taken expedition, but I bought it from someone who had a huge Mont Blanc collection. So I basically trusted, and someone who was older, and he was selling stuff from 1980s and 70s. So
yeah.
With Pelican, no. I just, maybe someone is forging them now, but no of instances, right?
It will that way. By the way, it's so good to buy fountain pens in person during the pen shows, because you have people that can explain to you what's that pen about, and then you can try the pen, you can see it live, you can see if broken or not, if it fits your writing. the smoothness of the nib, everything. You can dip and try. All those pens I have from friends or pen shows are purchases that I've done in person. So for me, was a no-brainer. I didn't have to authenticate anything. It's just I went from I want that pen. How much?
I think for me, authentication's not really an issue. I can authenticate any pen confidently. It's just whether or not it might be broken, or if it's a blind purchase like this one was, because they put the pictures up for the Bohème, right? But it doesn't mean it was the right one. They could send you anything after the fact. I mean, in the early days of eBay, that would happen. You'd buy something, you'd get something that wasn't exactly it. But as I said, the shop at least was in Massachusetts. But on the authentication side, I feel very, very confident I can handle that.
Oh, there's a comment.
There are a couple. So most people seem to be in agreement or most people seem to have the opinion that they are no longer buying blindly or will consult with others before they make purchases online.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. I think a lot of us, I don't know.
I will
You probably
argue.
field the questions, don't you? I mean, I probably get a DM from somebody every day.
Yeah.
Hey, should I buy this one? Should I buy that one?
I would say the most common question I get re-pens is actually, why is my Kaweco mini converter not fitting in my pen? Because the cartridge is stuck in the back of it. And it's like, okay, take the nib out, hit it against a table until the thing pops out, and then put it in. Like, that is probably my most asked question that I get about pens. And I'm happy that is my most asked question about pens. Like, that is a question I am qualified to answer.
Sure.
Yeah, my audience a little different too. Most of my clients and my friends, I mean, most of them are friends at this point. They just ask, what would you recommend for under, specific amount of money for sketching?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get that. Yeah, I would say I get that question too. But it's like when it's with one pen brand or like the most commonly asked questions, always about fitting a mini converter in.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
So I
did actually once have to open up one of my Kawecos and go, so what could possibly be trapped in here out of the factory? And then I went, oh, it's the cartridge.
Wow. No, I don't have those type of questions. I do have lots of questions about paper. I do have lots of questions about stationery. Where did I get my leather covers and stuff like that? Things where I purchase. And most of my stuff is, as I mentioned, secondhand, except for the paper inside. But the leather covers are finds that I have at garage sales or state sales. And yeah, those are the questions I have. Not about fountain pens, by the way, about other stuff. But yeah.
You do a lot of amphora and stuff like that. So yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So there are lots of comments. I don't have the opportunity.
There are lots of comments.
See them on my phone
it's
too.
about pen stores in Atlanta, and I am not qualified to answer any of those questions.
Nope.
Oh,
so I'm letting them hash it out in the comment section.
Yeah, I wish I can go and shows ever, but it's impossible, with the schedule and working. So yeah.
I would say a lot of us rely on buying online, but especially for those quite expensive or higher value purchases, it is nice to have somebody you can run things past.
Montblanc called me when I was in Italy.
Yeah.
And they said, your Wes Anderson pen is ready to be made. Would you like to pay for it now? You need to pay for it in advance for us to make it. And I'm like, I got to stake you to make my pen? And I'm thinking, this sounds like some kind of really strange, elaborate fraud. I'm like, but I don't know how
For a big company, yeah.
Right. How would anybody put this together and try to get me to purchase it? But I'm like, it doesn't sound right. And when you talk to them, they sound like AI.
Didn't you call them back?
I did.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, I'm not really sure. Thanks a lot. And I hung up. And then I looked up their number and then called them back, asked for the same person, got them. And it was them. And then I was like, okay, I guess this is legitimate.
I only text my Mont Blanc sales associate. Like I want all of it in writing.
There you go. Well, this was in writing. They emailed me first, and then they called, or maybe they emailed me and I called them. No, you know what? The email came after the fact. It was after I purchased. Yeah, or maybe they did email me and I called them, and then I thought it was a scam. I don't know. I don't remember, but it was something like that.
But did you? So after this call is when you purchased that pen?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But
and then they're like, "It'll be delivered in May."
April.
I'm sorry?
Isn't it like April, end of April that it gets delivered?
I think it's May, yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you 26, I think it was 28 and change with tax. I'm like, all right. I'll show up one day, perhaps.
Yeah. It'll be a nice surprise one day in the mailbox.
Sometimes I've taken a chance before. I bought I went to Murano probably 12 years ago on one of my trips to Venice. And I really wanted a chandelier, but at the time I didn't own a house like I do now. So I got a table chandelier. It's more like a table lamp. Pretty elaborate thing, And there was this gentleman I met. I'll never forget. His name was Stefano Stefanini in Murano.
Love it.
Right? And lovely guy, pretty old, but I hope he's still out there. Lovely, lovely fellow. And he was all talking about, Venetian glass should be democratic. You should be able to afford it. My factory, order it, we'll ship it to you, make this beautiful lamp for you. All right, great. How much? It's like 600 euro. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I paid him 600 euro and I left. And I said to the person I was traveling with, I'll probably never see that. Or maybe, who knows what shape it'll be in when it arrives. But it was probably 4 months later, a package, you get the DHL, alert, and shows up at your door in Boston, and there it was, perfect.
That's so cool.
Thank you, Stefano Stefanini. Mille grazie.
I definitely, I'll tell you how I feel. Since I've lived in Italy for so many years, I understand their logic. And now I'm looking at these wonderful pens, and I bought from them, so I don't have, a lot of problem, I guess, with the way their payment system goes. But Santini.
Oh, Santini. Yes.
It's not a regular payment, situation. It's very elaborate. And
there's two prices too for everything. Yeah. In Italy, if you're a local and you want a glass of wine, it's 2 or 3 euro. If you're a tourist, it's 6 or 7.
Oh yeah. A lot of times
and it should be Italian. That way.
I think I'm Italian, so they treat me to things.
Exactly. And I think that's fair because the locals, they're hardworking people or whatever. They shouldn't have to pay the inflated tourist prices.
That's so cool, actually. People, they should do the same thing all over the world, like even in the US. For US people, this price for tourists.
They look at you, see what watch you're wearing.
Let's see. Okay. That's what you pay.
Exactly.
Wow. No, I think at the level of purchasing handmade stuff, I would buy handmade stuff. Like if I go to a country and I get something, it would be handmade from somebody there. I did that when I travel overseas. In the US, I do the same thing. I always pass by to art stores and get something made.
Sure, especially like Marina with the watercolors.
Yeah. I mean, I really take my time. People don't understand how long it takes. But it takes a long time, trust me.
That's a long time.
Well, like I see things on the clothes front. I write articles about men's clothing, and it's something I don't do a lot on my YouTube, but in my other life, I write a lot of articles on men's fashion, usually heritage stuff. Not like, Armani or things like that, more like Barber and Red Wing and Levi's, things like that. And if you ever get like the J. Peterman catalog, or if you look at Ralph Lauren has fantastic photography, but the clothes themselves are just kind of okay. So he's really good at distilling icons, but then they're made in Vietnam or something. Nothing against Vietnam, but you can get that sweater sometimes cheaper in the UK. So why would you spend double and have it made in Vietnam or China just because it says Ralph Lauren on it, when the item it's distilled from is available elsewhere?
Yeah.
So I think a little work to find the authentic item, which is part of my big rant lately on Chinese pens. And not to pick on China.
And I agree with you.
Anybody who copies a pen, it's just, I wish there were more originality. That's all. The Chinese are brilliant at making things, including original design. So I have no desire to buy a fake Pelican M1000 by Majan or someone.
No.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I totally agree. That's
the recent one was Omas, I think, right? That's what they went after.
Oh,
but it's an
they?
older model, 360. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no kidding. Well, you know what? It's really funny. I don't want to contradict myself too much, but I could see a little bit if something hasn't been made in 30 years. You know what I mean? Like if they want to recreate a pen that was out.
Fine.
Yeah, it's a little different than one that's kind of in production now. Although, is it? I mean, I guess somebody else owns the trademark and everything. So I think if I think about it a little deeper, it probably isn't.
But also, who owns the Omas 360 trademark? Is it
Frank? Probably, yeah.
Frank does. Yeah, Frank
does Frank own the trademark for the
He
360?
does.
Okay.
Well, I believe he owns everything that Omas owns and all the patents and all the
except for
He just doesn't own the machines.
Oh, okay. I thought he had only bought the name, but not all the designs.
Well, maybe he didn't. Maybe not all the designs, but he is putting out all the designs. So
yeah.
So that means he's either licensing them, which is possible.
Yeah, he has the Paragon, so that pen that was made long time ago.
Yeah,
there is a new version of it and writes fantastically well. The resin is incredible.
Yep.
It's
Those
amazing.
are underrated. There's a lot of criticism of Frank, and he's making a fantastic pen.
The thing that annoys me is that he's got so many really fabulous nibs, and he only has, when I last looked, medium and fine available on the website.
Yeah, he talked about that. He says they're trying to expand their expertise and trying to bring back more of what they did.
They have them. And I know they have them because I used them at Chicago in August.
There's a lot of cost saving though, like even like the Diplomat Viper has one nib, sometimes they just do that.
Yeah. But the thing is, he was selling them in August.
Okay. Yeah, well, maybe they're prototypes,
So,
I don't know.
Right. If we're talking gold, though, gold is so expensive at this point. I don't. Yeah.
It's really curious because there was this whole talk about, excuse me, voice. It always goes after an hour. The Magna Carta Mag 600.
Yeah.
And the flexible nib, which is brilliant.
Brilliant. I agree.
Love it. And it got a lot of criticism, but a lot of people don't know how to use it. So, great. But, hey, there can be QC issues too. I'm not saying, I do think from the expertise of some of the people that told me about it, it wasn't because they didn't know how to use it. So I think there were some QC issues up front too. Then they came out with the 650 and everybody was saying, oh, the 650 nib is so much better than the 600 nib. Yeah. And it was one fountain pen influencer. I don't know who it is, and please don't tell me. But everyone told me it was like some fountain pen influencer was saying that, and then everyone was parroting it. That sounds impolite. Was plagiarizing them in a way, right? And kind of just repeating what they said. But I asked Kieran when I saw him in DC, is it different? Is it what makes it better? And he said, you know, when I made the flex nib, I made 2,000 of them, and I still have about 600 left. Yeah. He's like, they're all the same exact nib.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes these controversies arise, and it's not necessarily accurate. It's somebody who might be loosely talking about how they're experiencing a pen.
Yeah.
You know, like I sometimes get drawn into that where people say, well, I wish I could remember a really good example, but it might be something like that where I'm saying like, I think it was the Pelicans. I was talking about the Pelicans, and I'm like, why do they make different nib sizes in Pelicans? The extra fine, medium, and broad all write exactly the same because they have so much ink flow. You know what I mean? But I wasn't being literal. Like I was speaking of the experience of writing with it. You know, but truth be told, there's not a lot of difference like there are in some brands. I mean, Pilot's differentiated to a I'd say a millimeter, but that's not even enough. I don't know what's smaller than a millimeter. What's smaller than a millimeter? Something. Micrometer?
Micrometer.
Is that something? Let's say that. So,
I think it's micrometer.
But you know, if I were to take an extra fine Pelican, especially on crummy paper, and fine medium, it'd be really hard to tell which is which.
Yeah. There is not much of a difference, especially in Japanese pens between the fine and the medium. It's almost kind of the same. But if you jump to the broad one or the zoom, which is Japanese, there is a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Oh, yeah. But Magna Carta flexible nib, that's also really cool. It writes amazingly. For a modern pen to write, the flexibility when you do your stroke down is really, really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait until I get to try one. Apparently, it is 1,000 micrometers to a millimeter.
Because, so it is a micrometer.
Because Maya just texted me.
Fantastic. I'm not even on the metric system, so.
She was there before my husband. My husband is a scientist, so I was like, "Oh, yeah." He just texted me too about it. He's watching.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
We get millimeter, micrometer, nanometer, picometer.
Picometer. Cool. Other absurd units of measurement that I never need.
Yeah.
I do think in millimeters, though, just because it comes from the watch world. So it's easy to carry that into the pen world.
And it's so much easier than 1/16 of an inch.
I know. How do you express that, really? Even people in the US don't know what that is. And I try to address a global audience. So I usually give like what it is in one it is in the other, including currencies.
Oh.
Pounds and US dollars or whatnot.
I only give Canadian dollars and I make people do their own exchange because honestly, you never know what the Canadian dollar is going to be any given day versus the US dollar.
Right now. I need to go up to Quebec and have a blast.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great for you. It's really awful for us, but it's great for you.
Gotta savor it as long as we can here in the US. We'll see what happens next year.
Yeah, next year's going to be interesting. You're already seeing it in the financial markets. It's a market that's preparing for hyperinflation. Yeah. So gear up, kiddies. It's going to be a bumpy financial picture next year.
Oh, lovely.
I have a personal question that is related to you traveling to Canada. I know that at one point you did travel to Quebec City and you did kind of a tourist trip with your family here. Are you planning to come back to this side, maybe to Toronto? Is there any Canadian trip?
My daughter is in love with Quebec City, so I'm sure we'll be back at Chateau Frontenac very, very soon. No immediate plans for Montreal or Toronto. I'm curious about them, but it's hard when you love a city as much as I love Quebec. It's just, it means so much to me, that place.
Quebec is a city to love.
It is. Really is.
But if you come to Toronto, I can be your tour guide.
There is that.
Yeah.
And that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've never been to, and Toronto looks beautiful. You got some pretty
Toronto's
interesting
great.
buildings. And I don't have to rely on my wife's French in Toronto, right?
Yeah, that is a plus.
All right, guys, shall we start the beginning of the end of this podcast?
The beginning of the end of the final desk chatter of the year, because we are not back until, where's our date book?
22nd?
We're not, no, the 8th. We're back on the 8th.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So January the 8th, we are going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Have any plans for that show for the people to?
None. That's our job to figure out on the 30th.
All right.
We have a meeting.
All I know is that Lori and Vanessa are coming back on the 22nd, and I still have not started our sketching thing.
I have a couple of people that would love to come and see us. One of them is Claire Coco, and the other one is Suzette. Both of them are huge in, Claire on the pen collection side, and Suzette on the journaling and scrapbooking, which are, both of them are super close friends.
Yeah, that would be great. We definitely can see how things go with that. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Hemingway, it has been a pleasure to have
you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I hope I did a good job for you. I hope it was interesting.
Oh, that's great. We're a slightly more chill, low key, no plan show than what you do. We're just like.
Is mine not chill?
No, yours is very chill. Yours just like you've got a very set plan. We don't.
Structured. Yours is a little bit more structured.
Yeah. Thank you, Marina, for finding the word I was looking for. Yours is structured. Ours, some weeks is very structured, and some weeks like today, it's not.
Gotcha. Well, it was a blast for me, and I appreciate it. I'm glad my voice held out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to have us in your show, now I am a little bit more confident to put
good.
out.
I might grill you like a 60 Minutes interview.
I'll come back whenever.
I was going to do that with Alexandra. I kept calling her the most dangerous and controversial person on YouTube.
I'll come back whenever you want me to come back. You're
always welcome. It's always fun.
It's a great
It'll be nice when we all meet up again in person. I'm sure. Again, for Carrie.
Yes.
First time with.
I'll come out sometime as well.
That'd be brilliant.
And I'll bring some paint.
Yes.
That's
and
good.
for that was here, I see lots of people still connected. Thank you for joining us late night. And thank you for putting comments there, and everybody that support us in this podcast. And I wish you everybody happy holidays. Yeah.
And Merry Christmas.
And Merry
Happy Hanukkah.
Of the celebrations.
That's right. Brilliant time. I love you guys. Thanks so much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Ciao. Vediamo.
Good time.